one of the reasons I went to the conference, and then I can go to what I learned from it, and what I can relate to it now. I thought the conference would be a good insight into what people in the field of social enterprises were doing, and see where they started off and what their education was, and what they are doing at this point in their career, and maybe get some tips into what we should do if we want to get into this field as a profession or as a career choice. The conference started off with a keynote by Gianni, who worked for the UN, and he has a whole history of doing entrepreneurial work in the social field, and he talked about a whole timeline when the UN was involved with the Middle East, and it kind of gave an insight to 10 most common problems or 10 most common mistakes that social entrepreneurs in general land up into, and some of them were related to the political field and ignoring the common people there and things like that. After that, the next session I attended was based on international development in 2010, and most of the speakers there talked about corporate social responsibility and socially responsible enterprises. And what I got out of it was most firms who are into socially effective entrepreneurial work take into account big numbers. So they basically think that a change is not a change unless it affects like 100,000 people, and the money allocation and finances and logistics have to be tailored according to having the change on a large platform and it being scalable, and giving money to someone who has idea but doesn't know how to go about it, or is thinking of improving the lives of 100 or 1,000 people. I also found it exciting that there were people in the field who were ready to help entrepreneurs who had ideas or had large-scale ideas, and who were ready to go take a chance and see if they could help 1 million people out just by their one little idea. The next session I attended was based on the era of humanitarian response, and the speakers actually talked about humanitarian affairs, and I got an insight into how the humanitarian systems in bigger firms like Microsoft work along with other smaller workers in the field to implement big changes that they potentially see as as problems in the society. So Microsoft will invest in treating malaria in the third world countries, but it goes through a lot of channels before it can fund a change that's going to relieve people of malaria. So it was interesting how, from an investment manager's point of view and from a director of humanitarian affairs point of view, how the money flows through and how success is recorded or objectified. The third session I went to was of venture capital and international development, and they basically talked about how to go about in raising money for socially responsible enterprises, and how you can fund your ideas by venture capital, and how it's becoming a norm in society slowly for venture capitalists to actually fund social enterprises, which is not something that one would obviously think about. It also talked about the change in careers and how there's a shift between people who thought that you could never go from for-profit to a non-profit and come back to for-profit. But lately, the salaries and work schedules have been coming to match, and people have been known to go shuffle between for-profit and non-profit jobs without their potential employers thinking of them as someone who worked in a non-profit and now is not capable of handling the stress and the work situation. So that was something interesting from a future entrepreneurial point of view, that if we want to have a project on a large scale, it might not be bad to look into venture capitalists for money and try to figure out a business plan that could satisfy them in terms of their needs and satisfy us in terms of our money requirements. The last talk I attended was from Nicholas Negroponte, who's the head of the One Laptop Per Child, and it was one of the best talks I've heard. And he talked about how an idea that he had in the 60s and 70s was nurtured in like 35 years, and how he made contacts during his time in the Media Lab and hired people to work on technologies that were coming in, and how he made corporate tie-ups with bigger companies who could help him with his social entrepreneurial idea of giving a laptop to a child in a developing country, and over 30 years come to a point where he was in a commanding position to tell the world that here's my idea and here's how I'm going to do it and here are my contacts. And for the stage of what he said was during that his stage of life right now was totally suitable for his idea, and he had developed the idea from in his 30s and 40s, looking forward to this day when he's going to be accountable to the world, and he would have responsibilities that he needs to take care of, and he would have contacts to take care of his responsibilities and actually come up with something that is going to be fruitful. And that basically gave me the inspiration and the strategic thinking directive, so that if someone has an idea right now, it might not be, and if we think that it's not pursuable or it's not viable right now, it might be reasonable to still have it in the back of your mind and develop upon it in the next couple of years when we go through our careers, and probably one day we can end up in a commanding position where we can actually go forward with that idea and do some change. That was pretty much it from the conference, and I think overall the conference one of the better ones that I've attended, and it gave me a real insight into the whole real world of social entrepreneurship and how people in this field function, and how groups work, and how money flows, and how responsibilities are taken over and given out, and it was a pretty good experience.